So after over 3 decades, AOL is finally retiring its dial-up service as of September 30th. And I'm sure a lot of you were probably surprised to hear that it's been around all this time. But yes, even though dial-up seems like a relic of the past, because it is, it's been kept alive by all those people who forgot to cancel their AOL subscription like 20 years ago. Well, at least that's what you would probably think, but according to a US Census Bureau survey conducted in 2024, over 127,000 American households still used dial-up internet because they had access to nothing else. Now, that number has slowly been declining over the years, but it represents approximately 0.1% of the American population. So for these people, AOL and its competitors like NetZero and MSN provide an essential service, though I wouldn't be surprised if we see a trend of some of these other providers canceling their dial-up service in the coming months or years. Now, you might be asking, if you didn't have any other way to access the internet, how could you get the AOL Dialer application that is required for you to use your dial-up subscription? Well, just like back in the 90s, you get AOL to send a copy of it to you in the mail. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So I gotta be honest, I didn't think this was going to actually show up in the mail when I called and ordered it months ago, even before the cancellation announcement came through, when I was working on another video entirely, which I'll talk about in a minute here. And even though AOL clearly advertises this on their website as a way to get a copy of the software, I had to explain to the support person I was talking to like 3 times what I was trying to do, because admittedly, they probably don't get a whole lot of people asking for a dial-up software CD these days. But to their credit, they did send this out to me, which is a lot more than Microsoft can say. Yeah, I'm going to ramble off topic here for a minute, but I originally ordered this disc while I was working on a video about MSN dial-up because Microsoft still offers that, and they also have a page on their website where you can request a dial-up CD to get access to the software you need to connect to the internet. So it kind of seems like a catch-22 there. But that's not even the worst part, because the only way you can subscribe to a dial-up plan is by going through the Microsoft Store site. You can't call them because none of the people I've talked to over there, and I've talked to many different departments, believe me, seem to know what I'm talking about. You can't ask for a CD from them. I even had one person tell me they don't send out those discs anymore, despite the fact that the website says that they do. And that form on there seems to be completely broken. When you fill it out, it'll say, a disc will arrive in 7 to 10 business days, but it just never shows up. And I've done this like numerous times. I've lost track at this point, using different browsers, different operating systems, signed in and out of a Microsoft account. It just doesn't work. And the only software you can download from them can't do anything unless you're connected to the internet, so that's great. With AOL, it took me like 20 minutes on the phone, and they even overnighted this to me through FedEx, which was not expected, but certainly appreciated. So what we're going to do in this video is crack this open. We'll see what the disk looks like. I guess I'll archive it, because why not? And then we'll pop it into a modern-ish computer running Windows 10 to see if we can use it to connect to AOL Dial-Up for the last time before they kill this off. So let's go ahead and crack this open and see what we have inside. So it looks like it is just the CD. Urgent AOL software update required, and it looks like this is probably where they would have put the mailing label and just, they would throw this in the mail. So yeah, again, it was very nice of them to overnight this to me, but that is all we have in the FedEx envelope, so we'll set that aside. Nothing about dial-up on here. It just says, upgrade now using the enclosed CD-ROM. So I guess we will just peel this back here and get this open. And there we go. Don't risk losing access to AOL software. Please upgrade your AOL software now. Older versions of AOL Desktop will no longer be supported. So they're talking about AOL Desktop. Now, you guys may remember earlier this year, in fact, the first video I put out in 2025 was going over AOL Desktop Gold, which is another subscription plan that still exists. Now, that you don't need to have a dial-up plan to use, but it's basically the old client that you could use with an AOL dial-up subscription. And yeah, it's still around, and they charge you monthly for it. It's kind of crazy. And I wonder if that's actually going to be kept alive as well, with them, getting rid of their dial-up service here. But, we'll just have to see what plays out there. But here is the disc. So again, nothing about dial-up. This kind of just seems like a generic AOL CD that I guess, maybe they would send out the AOL Gold software on this to people who requested it as well. And we have a copyright date here of 2017, Oath Incorporated, which was their parent company at the time. So yeah, we're going to set the disk aside here for a moment, and we also have some installation instructions here. And oh my gosh, I just noticed this. Compatibility with Windows XP, Windows Vista, and newer Windows operating systems. But they've got the Windows 10 logo there. Like XP in 2017, they were still like printing that on here. That's pretty freaking hilarious. But yeah, so that is what you would get in the mail if you called AOL and asked them for a dial-up CD. Now, let's go ahead and pop this thing in and see if we can use it to get online. Alright, so before we get started, there's a couple things that I just wanted to highlight here. So this is the page on AOL's website where you can download a copy of the dialer application. I have done this, and we'll get into why in a moment here. But they do say right up here that the AOL Dial-Up benefit will be discontinued across all AOL Advantage plans on September 30th. The interesting thing is they don't really advertise, at least from what I can see, they don't advertise it at all as a feature on any of their Advantage plans, which I'm assuming are these bundles that we saw on the AOL desktop video that I did earlier this year. This is the page where they have that advertised, and they talk about all of their other things, you know, AOL Shield Pro, which is their, you know, Chromium-based web browser that they've got. They've got some tech support stuff, some identity theft protection things, ad-free AOL mail. I also mentioned this in the AOL Gold video, but they seem to have kind of rebranded themselves as a digital services company rather than just being remembered as the people who offered dial-up back in the 90s and early 2000s. And they don't mention dial-up at all on any of these pages, and this is where you would go to you know, subscribe to a plan. Now, of course, that makes sense. You wouldn't be seeing this page if you could only get on the internet through dial-up, and you would have to call them. And I'm assuming if you talk to somebody over there, at least prior to September 30th, they would help you get connected with a dial-up plan. But judging from, you know, the fact that it was a little bit difficult for me to get this CD in the mail, maybe it wouldn't be as straightforward as one would think. So speaking of the CD, I went ahead and copied over the contents of it to this folder right here, and the first thing I noticed is that all this stuff was last modified in 2017. Except for this folder, that's just because I copied this over, you know, to the desktop from the CD. But these files in here are also modified in 2017. We have a dialer MSI, and I'm assuming this is the Shield browser. MSI as well, and then we have an install.exe. Let's just go into properties here and see we do have a digital signature, and that has a timestamp of, yep, October 23rd, 2017. So yeah, I downloaded the AOL dialer application from the website before I disconnected this machine from the internet, as you can see down here, just that in case this is a really old version, which it seems like it is, that you can't use anymore to connect to AOL Dial-Up, and you need this new one, we will have that just in case. So let's run install.exe and see what this does for us. So welcome. Before we get started, how do you want to connect to the internet? We're going to say dial-up. Click next below to start using AOL's new dial-up enabled products, AOL Dialer and AOL Shield, which says optimized for older operating systems and dial-up internet connections. AOL Shield allows you to browse the internet quickly and easily. So yeah, maybe that's the same browser. Maybe they were calling it something else back in 2017. I don't know, but we'll hit install. And let's see what it gets us. Installation complete. There we go. So we'll hit finish. And it looks like we have the AOL Dialer and Shield shortcuts on the desktop. So let's see if this is the browser that I was talking about. So, okay, we get an import wizard. We'll import from Microsoft Internet Explorer. Is this Firefox based? Yeah, this is Firefox based. I thought it was Chromium based. I mean, maybe it is now, but okay, that's interesting. Let's see what version of Firefox that this is. Okay, well, it just says AOL Shield 1.0.0.35. I mean, I'm assuming it's based on a version of Firefox from 2017. We could probably dig around a little bit more and find that out. But we're going to skip over to the AOL Dialer because that is what you guys are here for. So we've got dial tone here, as you can, well, may or may not be able to hear depending on how well that picked up on the microphone. And I've got the computer, I mean, I have a USB modem plugged into here, and we've got that all wired up to the phone line, so we are good to go. So it asks us for our username. So I do have an AOL account. The only thing is I don't have any paid subscriptions on it right now because I was curious to see what would happen if you just try to connect without one. Because, again, there didn't really seem to be a way to purchase one from the website. So maybe it will allow us to do that here. At the very least, it will hopefully get us online to some, welcome page that, we may be able to browse around on a little bit. So let me just put in my AOL account credentials, or just my email anyways, and then we're going to, launch AOL news page on sign on. That sounds good to me. And then it's got our USB modem selected here. Apparently, I guess you can use this without dial-up? That's interesting. Because you can choose, I already have an internet connection through cable/DSL or LAN connection. So I don't know, maybe we'll try that a little bit later on. But let's say this for now. We are going to say next. And then here's your dialing options. We don't have to do any of this. So we're just going to say next. And then I'll put in my area code. And that should give us a list of numbers here. So let's select, I don't know, we'll do this one and this one because it says select 2 to 3 so that if, one fails, you can try one of the other ones, or it should automatically do that for you. So we'll choose those 3. I am going to pick up the handset here of this phone just to listen to what it's doing, and I'll try to put this up to the microphone so you guys can hear it as well. So we'll do that and we'll hit sign on. Okay, well, yeah, I could tell that didn't seem, or did not sound like it should. So it says the connection could not be completed. Make sure your modem is still connected to the phone line and the modem is connected to your PC. I mean, it did dial successfully, so let's just say try again. It also failed on the checking password screen, which there's no way to enter it because it doesn't prompt you for it. It says once you connect, it'll ask you for your password. It did connect, and I tried, as you saw, a few different phone numbers there, and it all just resulted in the same thing. It gave that error message. So I'm wondering if maybe we need to try this newer version of the AOL dialer. So why don't we, let me go into appwiz.cpl, because that's still the quickest way to get to the remove programs thing for me anyways. And we'll just uninstall AOL Dialer. If that's the case, and you just can't use that old version, that would mean the disk AOL sends you in the mail will not get you online, which I think is rather funny. Although wait a second, this also says Oath. Is this the same version? What's the date of this license agreement? 2017. That just says, in June 2017, we announced that Yahoo and AOL had joined to become Oath. Yeah, which is what it was called at the time. So I wonder if is this the same frickin' version? I mean, maybe the license agreement just wasn't updated. That's certainly possible. We've got the same icon there. And then here's the EXE. So let's see if there's a digital signature. There's not. Okay. Although, copyright 2017 to 2018, this is going to be the same thing. Has this program just not been updated in like 7 years? This looks exactly the same. Now, granted, I'm sure they wouldn't really have to change the interface around very much, but let me pop in my username again. Alright, well, I've got that all set up again. Let's try it, see what happens. Nope, it failed again. Huh. I looked up this error 691, and it says that corresponds to an invalid username and or password. Oh, wait a second. Don't include spaces or at AOL.com. Okay, that's probably it. I'm feeling good about this time. What? It failed again. Do you think they took this offline already? I mean, there's no way. I mean, it's still connecting, but it just fails again on the same password thing. Alright, so here's a few things that I've done so far off camera. I've tried 2 different modems. I have tried multiple AOL accounts, multiple access numbers, and we get the same result every single time. So I thought maybe, like I mentioned before, I was not subscribed to any AOL plan because none of them really mentioned dial-up at all, but I went ahead and subscribed to the AOL Complete plan, which seems to include all of their offerings. It's like $14 or $15 a month. So I have a subscription for that under this account. And I went in, they have this setting where you can like turn on specific benefits and like activate certain parts of the plan. Nothing about dial-up is in there either, but I thought that maybe now that we have a like premium account, that it will allow us to actually connect and authenticate properly. But I personally don't think it's going to make a difference. We're just going to try this again. Okay, it's been here on the checking password screen for a little bit longer than it was before when it immediately errored out. Well, that doesn't sound good. Nope, we have a different error this time. Error 628. Well, I found this page that is not from AOL, but it says this error corresponds to the remote computer terminating the connection before it could be completed. So, subscribing to a plan did something. Oh, and now we got error 691 again. Okay, so I guess I just take back everything I just said then, because that didn't... Like, what? Okay, one thing we can do is reconnect to my, just the Wi-Fi here, and go to connection settings and choose I already have an internet connection and see what this program does for us. We detected an active internet connection, get the new AOL desktop. Okay, so this is just going to take you to a download link for Desktop Gold, which is what we explored in that other video, which I will have probably linked up in the cards by now. If not, I will do it right at this moment. And also right at this moment, just kidding, there's no sponsor today, but we have hit a pretty major roadblock here because after numerous attempts at trying to get this to work, I still wasn't able to have this machine successfully connect to AOL. And the reason for that is something that I'm sure a lot of you have already figured out. I was using a VoIP line. Now, I knew going into this that dial-up over VoIP is pretty iffy, but I didn't think that it was going to be a problem because I used this same exact phone line several years ago to connect to AOL just to mess around with it, and it worked totally fine. And I know for a fact that it was a VoIP line back then as well. Now, I saw some people recommend trying to set the modem speed manually and use the built-in Windows connection wizard. That didn't fix anything, unfortunately. And yes, I know I was being a little bit dramatic earlier when I said that you need to have this CD to use AOL Dial-Up because there's nothing stopping you from just entering your account info in here and signing on that way. But the thing is, you also need to know an access number, and unlike MSN, AOL does not provide a list of those on their website, which, I mean, it's not like you'd be able to see them anyways without an existing internet connection, but that's what the software provides for you, and it just makes the connection process, at least I feel like, a little bit more straightforward with it being AOL-centric. I even tried to connect to NetZero, which I amazingly remembered my old password for, thinking that just maybe, since we are pretty close to the cutoff point for AOL dial-up, that perhaps it was something on their end. But no, I had the exact same thing happen with NetZero. We were not able to connect, and I did a fair amount of troubleshooting and wasn't able to get anything to work, unfortunately. So we are just at a stopping point for this video. I know it's not the conclusion that any of us probably hoped for, but we did have a couple of successes. I mean, I think that we got this computer to connect to AOL, even if it didn't complete the connection properly. It did get to that point where it was verifying our username and password and then failing out after that. So I think it did make a connection successfully every time, or at least most of the time. So that's something. And also, I got AOL to send me a physical disc in the mail with their software on it, even if it is this old one from 2017 that they probably just had lying around since then, just waiting for somebody to call. I mean, I'm sure that they had maybe some more of these as well, but like I said, I don't know how many people actually called and asked for them because, when I called them, they didn't really seem to know what to do initially. So I very well may have been the last person, at least one of the last people, to get them to mail me a software CD. And I think that's a perfect way to end off this episode. So there you have it, guys. That is trying to connect to AOL Dial-Up for the final time in 2025. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, get subscribed, maybe consider becoming a patron or a channel member to get early access to these videos before anybody else. But either way, I just want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.